Janelle is the one who did my family tree tattoo, the first tattoo that I've ever done on my body. You've somehow become known around the world for the fine line work that you do. How do you get to that place in seemingly such a short amount of time?
For me, I came from a permanent makeup background, and coming into the tattoo world, all of a sudden doing tiny tats at first, I was like, oh, this is something I really want to do. But then I couldn't find education around it. So I flew out to Brazil and I started learning with artists there. They were willing to teach me. They're some of the best fine line artists in the world.
You've come a long way. Can you share what's been required to get to where you're at?
The moment I started to live a heart-centered life, like where I was like, what do I feel? I would say was when I decided for me to get my divorce. And that's when I really felt like I grew wings. I could really see myself trusting into and starting to align into where I was really being called to go and become. At that time, I was Janelle, owner of Salon Blaze, wife of this person, and everyone knew me as like labels. And I was kind of breaking some of those labels and being like, no, but who am I really? Like, what really am I? And a lot of people thought it was super crazy that I went and did ayahuasca in Costa Rica. What it did is it took me inward, and it showed me that I was worth it, that I was worth fighting for.
Janelle Van Zant.
Yo.
Welcome to the Rollercoaster podcast.
Thank you.
We're rolling. We're here. We're doing it. A lot of the guests that I have on the show, I don't know personally.
Yeah.
These are people that maybe I follow, or they reached out, or we reached out to them. But typically, these guests I don't have a personal relationship with.
Right. Janelle,
for the audience to understand, I do. I have a very personal relationship with. And we're going to get into that today. Janelle is the one who did my family tree tattoo, the first tattoo that I've ever done on my body. And so she has for those who have done that, who have got a sentimental tattoo, probably understand what that experience is like. And it's a very connecting experience. So you have a special place in my heart, and you always will. And I'm really happy that we're doing this today.
Hey, thank you. It means a lot to me, My work isn't just about I have a lot of passion in it, but there's a lot of purpose for me. And when I can do pieces like yours that mean so much, I don't know, it's actually cool because you and I found each other because you were telling the story of your breath work.
Yeah.
On your podcast with Jen.
Yeah.
Oh my God, think about that. So you were telling your story, and I was I followed you, and I was liking this little piece of the podcast that you'd put on your Instagram, and I was like, this is so beautiful. And I want to listen more to this podcast. And then you reached out and you're like, wait, you do tattoos? And I was like, yeah. And you're like, and so it's even cooler that I got to be a part of, the piece that made me feel inspired to follow you. Right?
Totally.
It's cool.
How long have you been doing tattoos for?
So I've been in my industry as far as like being a body art facilitator for almost 8 years. Yeah. But that's a mix. I mean, I started out doing eyebrows and then went into eyeliner and then lips and then piercing and I've mastered each one of these trades and then moved on to the next and kind of just mixed it all together to bring my clientele like all these different things. But as far as actual fine line tattooing, like what I've done for you, I've only been doing that about 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've somehow in 4 years become known, around the world for the fine line work that you do. How do you get to that place in seemingly such a short amount of time?
I think being brave. I feel like I've been very brave in what I've done. I also had the gift of I wouldn't say it's, I just didn't understand the industry of tattoo and piercing. So for me, I came from a permanent makeup background, and I had learned all of these techniques and these short classes and been able to put them into practice. And coming into the tattoo world, all of a sudden doing tiny tats at first, I was like, oh, this is something I really want to do. but then I couldn't find education around it. So one thing that was cool about my situation was I was able to find bits and pieces of education, but the main thing that I was able to do to learn was go out to Brazil. I flew out to Brazil and I started learning with artists there. They were willing to teach me. They're some of the best fine line artists in the world. And I was able to understand tattooing, very, I mean, they didn't hold back from me. I wasn't competition for them. They didn't hoard their information and they just taught me. And I was so obsessed with learning this technique. I can't even explain it. I just became obsessed with it. Yeah. So I just put it into practice. I started learning and I became very brave in the sense that once I become confident in something, I want others to feel that same confidence. And so for me, with it being really hard to find full education around that technique, I wanted to give it once I had it. So once I found that confidence, I was ready to share it. And I started creating ways to educate others in this technique that wanted to learn, which is how I became known. My courses are very successful and I've put a lot of heart and purpose and integrity into them. Yeah. And my students are thriving all over the world. So I think it's just being brave enough to share what you know and wanting, my students are actually better than me. Some of my students, I'm learning from them at this point, years down the road. So it's become a very cool circle of life of just giving and then receiving and giving and being brave. And yeah.
You said something that was so beautiful there that I don't want to skip over at all, which is, I think if a lot of people would say the work product that they're putting out, let's say somebody's creating a course, they would say, I put a lot of energy, I put a lot of thought. They would use these sort of words. I put a lot of passion or desire. The words that you used were very different. You said that you put a lot of heart, purpose, and integrity into what you do. And I think that's beautiful, because I think if it's pure, if it comes from a place of deep, sort of pure intent, then it will always win.
Always. And it will be received and land exactly where it's supposed to. Yeah. I believe so much in manifesting the people that not only come to me for tattoos, and this may seem like, oh, it's just a tattoo, but I actually believe that I manifest my clients and I really, truly manifest the students that come to me as well. I even think to myself sometimes of even what I want to help them shift in their lives. I want this person to be searching for financial freedom, or I want this person to be the students I attract, I want this to be something that blesses their lives the same way it's blessed me, bring confidence to them, bring security to them. Yeah. And I actually have felt that over and over and over and over again as I've felt the imprint of my course on my students. And it's not just about giving them a skill that makes them money. It gives them, I don't know, I'm manifesting people that they're having an imprint on me, I'm imprinting on them, and we're bonded. And it's just really cool. So I think even in something as simple as saying, I gave you a tattoo or I taught you a skill, you can actually have an exchange of energy that's I don't know, next level.
What would you call yourself? I don't think you're a tattoo artist. I don't think you're a body piercing specialist, whatever you call that person, or an esthetician. You don't fall into those titles for me. What do you call yourself?
I'm for sure a creator. And I just am. And I can say that just because I'm not even saying, I don't know right now that I'll always be this, right? I am just in this flow of creation. Where I feel purpose, I will follow. So I think I'm just a creator. And as opportunities come, I feel into them and I say, that's a really good opportunity. Do I feel that feeling of I want to create that? Yes. And the times in my life when I feel the most stuck or dark or sad is when I'm not creating. I actually could almost implode in myself if I'm not on myself, if I'm not creating, because it's just a part of who I am. It's something I'm meant to do. So whether that's a tattoo, like I said, or a course, or helping others create too, has become like a new passion of mine. Like I've been able to create a lot of like tangible things like courses or curriculum or, you know, things like that, or products. Like I love creating products that are needed. But the coolest part right now for me in the stage that I'm in my life is actually helping others to like break through their imposter syndromes, or being able to almost like see their gifts and pull from them and help them see them and like get their message into like a form of curriculum and kind of give it to the world. So I actually see, I don't know, my journey right now is an interesting one because I can like see a flow here where I'm going from like creator to helping others create too.
There was a right answer on that question, by the way. And I'm going to tell you what the right answer is. And it's not the one that you shared.
I never get the right answer.
I think I understand the reason you chose that word. Because that's all true, what you just said. But what's more true is that I think you're a healer.
I love that even more.
I think that's your God-given gift.
That actually means a lot to me. Thank you.
Be that. Yeah. Why do you think I said that?
I mean, that feels aligned to me. I do think there's healing in my work. I mean, even just in the moment I had doing your tattoo, right, Tyler? Like, I appreciate so much the space I got to hold for you and what that meant deeply for you. So I will accept that. It feels like a great compliment to me that I'm a healer. Because I can hold space and listen and feel into, and that is healing, right? Whenever we have that kind of connection with anyone, it's healing. So thank you.
Yeah, look, it's hard to describe certain experiences in your life. I've tried to describe experiences I've had with Jen, who's one of your best friends, my breathwork coach, who's been on the show. And I've almost given up trying to describe what these experiences are like, because they're so sacred and deep and personal.
Yes.
And I would say my experience with you doing this piece was that too. Like it's very similar in a lot of ways to doing a breathwork journey, where it's a healing experience. It's letting go of certain things, certain traumas, or things that I may have been fighting or dealing with in my own life. And it's just so much more. I don't think people can understand it unless they've done it, and specifically with you, what that experience is like. It's not just a tattoo, though.
Thank you.
Right.
You know, my tattoos are very healing for me. All of them. They mean something. They're affirmations, they're moments, they're very grounding. For even the feeling of getting a tattoo for me is actually very grounding. I can't explain it for me. So maybe that's part of why I can create that space, is because they do mean so much to me, and I can like feel that. Yeah, I can feel that with you too. So
I also sense that like you have a couple of clients that you serve, right? One is clients who are getting ink, getting tattoos, but then also, and really like what you're known for is your teaching. So your students that you teach how to do this kind of work. And I think you're as much a healer for the clients that you tattoo as you are for these people.
Thank you.
You think that would resonate with them?
Yeah. You know, I shouldn't say I hope so. I can only hope so. Yeah. I did get a message this last week from someone, and I shared it on my Instagram, and I shared it because it just made me so emotional to hear her talk about how the year before, before she took my course, she was actually contemplating suicide, wasn't sure if she was going to be around, felt really lost in her life. And she said, I can't explain what going to your course did for me, but it wasn't just about the tattoo. It was about like like what I, for whatever reason, and what the exchange of energy me and her had in that class, right? And so she hears my voice. She said, whenever I want to give up or whenever I feel insecure, whatever, she's like, I hear your voice telling me to go the fuck all in and not give up and keep going. And if I have that imprint on them, God, that's all I can hope for. Like, I hope so. So yes, thank you.
When you say you hold space, right? This is a term that you and I know well, but it's probably not a term that's broadly understood by a lot of people. And, you know, they'll also, one of the things that I strive to do on my podcast is to create what maybe woo-woos would call a container of space, right? So what does that mean to you? Like being able to hold space for somebody, can you describe what that is and what that feeling is like?
I like that question. I think it's maybe holding space is even more like during the time that I'm with them, nothing touches us. It's like we just trust the exchange of energy in that space. I don't allow a lot of like outside influences to come in. I just try to create an ambiance or a feeling of whatever it is I feel they are there to receive and what I can give them. Does that feel like I answered your question? It's more just like, even for some of the clients I have right now that I help to build out like different courses or their little dream, I always tell them like, you get 2 people to tell. Because it is sacred. Some of this stuff is like building a dream or like having a moment. Like you either tell someone and it expands it and it makes it feel more real, or you tell them and it will retract within you and become less real. So those moments or those experiences or those moments when you're going after your dream, you got to be a little selective in who you're going to tell that to. And so I even am careful, you know, with the space that when I talk about my dreams or my journeys or, you know, these. So somebody like you that can be so vulnerable and get on a podcast and share it and just let the world receive it and let it land wherever it's going to land is actually very brave and beautiful, which is why I was honored to be on here.
Yeah. Thanks. You've come a long way in your life, to say the least, right? I want you to describe the journey that you had to go on to get to where you're at today, right? Before we launched this podcast, you said something to the effect of, I haven't felt the way that I feel right now in a very long time. And that has something to do with the types of work that you're doing. It has something to do with, you know, your energy level, maybe your physical fitness journey, maybe your mental health. There's a lot probably that goes into you feeling the way that you feel today.
Yeah.
Can you share what's been required to get to where you're at?
It's a really good question. I mean, I could go down different segues or paths, but when you said that, like about the moment I started to live a heart-centered life, like where I was like, what do I feel? I would say was when I decided for me to get my divorce. And that was, I mean, I've always kind of been heart-centered. People that met me would have said I was a healer or felt that I was kind or good or on track or driven. But that was the first time I felt like I made a decision to like do what everyone else thought I shouldn't. And I knew was right for me and for him. And I made that decision to get divorced. It's been almost 5 years. And that's when I really felt like I grew wings. Like I could really see myself trusting into and starting to align into where I was really being called to go and become.
Yeah.
So I think navigating, that was one of the main beginnings of me stepping into that heart space and trusting myself.
Yeah. I know you've done a lot of deep work, right? You've done women's retreats,
A lot of coaching,
you know, breath work and
ayahuasca,
plant medicine.
Yeah.
Like you've done a lot of stuff, right? And this won't be the first time that we've talked about these different kinds of modalities that are out there or available to just help us get to that place of being fully heart-centered, which I think is a great way to put it. But what are the modalities that you've tried and what's worked for you and what hasn't? And love to unpack that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So, in going out of that stage in my life and going into like the space of trying to trust and find myself again, right? Because it is kind of piecing yourself back together. And, you know, at that time I was Janelle, owner of Salon Blaze, wife of this person, you know, and everyone knew me as like labels. And I was kind of breaking some of those labels and being like, no, but what am I? Who am I really? Like, what really am I? And I had to really go deep. So for me, it was a journey of being open, just being open to what was calling me personally. And a lot of people thought it was super crazy that I went and did ayahuasca in Costa Rica as my first. I'd never done any type of like hallucinogen or mushroom or anything. Like I was very naive, I guess you would say, to that world. I didn't know. But something in me said, you need to go deeper than what you're allowing yourself. You've got to break down walls. And that ayahuasca, that form of doing that was what was calling me. And for me, what it did is it took me inward, and it showed me that I was worth it, that I was worth fighting for, that it helped me forgive myself for decisions I had made up to that point. It caused me to see why they had to happen. Things had to happen. It created a trust within me, and it was just the beginning. And from there, I really believe that, you know, this last year especially, I just felt myself really lean in more to, I want to see my blind spots. I want to see my blind spots in my life so that I can become aware of them. And once I'm aware of them, I have a responsibility to make changes so that I don't repeat patterns over and over and over again in my motherhood, in dating, in my work. And I can just expand and grow and be in flow. And I think that's where the alignments come from. And that's the word I would use actually right now, which is, I feel like I'm in integrity with myself right now. I'm making decisions out of what I feel is right, not because of pressure, but it's because I trust myself, because I've gone inward and I can trust myself.
Yeah. That feels like one of the, how do I say this? Maybe one of the greatest places that we can get to in life is when we've defined who we are at our core, our identity, and then the way that we behave matches that.
Yes. Okay, so the moment when we define our identity, right? Like when we really feel like, oh shit, like I see myself. Oh, I love myself. Like, and then everything we do, like you said, we behave different. It's because our blind spots aren't there anymore. Like in plant medicine, it's been such a gift to me. I have been able to explore like, wait, why do I keep repeating this pattern? Like just recently, I hope it's okay I share, I did a plant medicine journey about a month and a half ago. And I was like, I keep manifesting the same relationships over and over and over and over again. And it's this pattern that I'm repeating, and I'm the common denominator here. Like it isn't even necessarily the fault of these men that I'm bringing into my life. Like I actually can see that I am creating this same pattern over and over. And in the plant medicine, I was able to see that I was afraid. I was afraid of being alone. I was also afraid of commitment. I landed in this limbo, and I was manifesting these relationships that weren't going anywhere. And it was so clear to me in the medicine, and it was no longer a blind spot, right? I felt so stupid. I was like, why did I do that? Why have I been doing that all this time, wasting all this time when my greatest desire is to find like my soulmate? Yeah. But in the end, I can't even be hard on myself for who I was before because it was a blind spot. I didn't even see it. But once I saw it, there's no unseeing it. Yeah. And I was able to make changes in my behavior, which then changes the pattern and breaks it. And you become you're leveling up, which like, actually, not to like change it to a different, but this last week I actually had this moment where I was playing Mario with my son, and I was like, holy shit, he eats a mushroom to level up. And there was like no unseeing that. And I know it sounds so funny, but like, I was like, it's not a broccoli, it's not celery, it's freaking a mushroom. And that's how I feel in my life right now. And I'm not saying it's for everybody, but I will say that plant medicine, and I've only done it a handful of times, it's very new for me, and I'm not planning to like go crazy, but I am taking it and I'm feeling through, and I'm like, okay, that moment changed me forever. I will no longer, I broke a pattern in my life. It's not a blind spot. I have awareness. Yeah. I get to be different, and I leveled up. Yeah. So my behavior's changed. I ate the mushroom. I'm Mario.
That's amazing. So, yeah, I love that. Speaking of levels up, right? Or level up, I'm building this brand in this community called Levels.
Yeah.
Right. Which is,
I love that.
All over my body.
Yes.
And one of the things that I'm not sure yet if I'm going to share what the phase 3 of this tattoo is going to be, which we're doing after this podcast.
Yes, I'm so excited.
I'm not sure if I want to share it here.
Okay.
Or if I want to wait and share it while we're doing that together.
Yeah.
And then share, later sort of what the finished piece is. But one of the elements that we're adding to this outdoor scene on my tattoo is mountains. And these mountains, these summits represent the different levels in the different areas of our life that we should strive to achieve, right? Whether it's leveling up our relationships or our physical health or our mental health or our mindset or our finances, or name the thing, right? That's important.
Yeah. Or all of the above.
Yeah. And that's what these mountains in the tattoo will represent. So I love that word. Obviously it's the name of our brand, and
the brand's so sick.
Yeah.
I already was, I was looking at your hat. I was like, okay, let's fucking go.
One thing that you talk a lot about, right? We talked a little bit about like the container or the creating space, holding space for people. You're a big energy advocate, and I feel like you almost govern your entire life around this energy and how you feel. And I know, like, and I don't care, but there are people listening that are like, weird. What is that all about? So why is that so important to you? And, by the way, I feel a different kind of energy when I'm around you or around certain people that also operate that way. So what is that? Why is that so important to you?
I feel it too. Once you become aware of what the energy around you, how it influences you, you become very selective. I don't even know what's selective. Let me take back that word. It's more like you become very like just careful about, you protect it. You just become more, I guess protect it would be a good word. I think for me, I know the power that comes from one conversation. Like I can talk to one person and be like, oh my God, I can see like my purpose in your purpose, and you inspire me. And when you're around low frequency energy, you will function on a lower frequency. I always say, it's from my favorite book, which I'm trying to convince you to read, but it's from The Alchemist. But he says, life attracts life. And I believe that with everything. Like I actually live that. It's the same, it's scientific. Frequency will match frequency, and water will always go in and meet water, right? So it's no different in life when we are around people who we can like feel that like same vibration, and you find your vibration, and then you're more selective. And it's not like in a rude way. It's not like, but I've just allowed in my life to have like a natural shedding. Like there's just, we don't have to break up, as far as friends go or people. I've just set boundaries around like how important it is for me to fill my cup with people, like conversations like me and you have, or like I can feel when I want to be in somebody's space.
Yeah.
I can feel when they're inspiring me and making me feel more aligned in my life, or if they're pulling me from my purpose. And that's when the true magic really happens, though, because once you start filling that cup and it starts overflowing and your frequency rises and you have more and more, it's just scientific. It's real. Life attracts life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that's like, if that makes sense, but it's the law of attraction in the end.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
And it all doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
At the same time.
Yeah.
So it's great. I almost envision it like, as you were talking, it's almost like a force field, or like when you get to that place where you're living in integrity, you're putting out a certain frequency, would be a good word, or like magnetism, that either will, think of the way magnets work.
Yeah.
They'll either repel certain energy away, or they'll like pull it in.
Yes.
Really close,
yes.
right? The way magnets link together.
You know, even something as simple as just people who I meet and love right now, all of a sudden meet people that I love. Like you met one of my best friends at the gym this morning.
Oh,
and it's just
so
like,
weird.
it's just the funniest thing, because, and they both recognize each other because you're both in my frequency right now.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool. You start to like really magnetize the people you want and that are going to help you create and go to the next level once you're in that frequency. And you start to deflect, and you can just, it's almost like your body just is like your body. It's just not even a question. Like, no, like it doesn't even have to say no. It's just not going to attract it. It just repels it. So right now I do feel, and maybe that's part of why I do feel so in alignment, even in the trust space, the trusting I feel in like what I'm manifesting in my life, as far as like a partner and in my work and in my motherhood. Like right now, I can feel the magnetism of what I'm creating. So I don't know. It just feels good. Like I just feel really good right now about that.
Let me ask you a very specific question.
Yeah.
What have you felt specifically in the 2 sessions that we've had together in phase 1 and phase 2 of doing my tattoo?
Felt?
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely feel that feeling of like the frequency matches and then the growth happens. Like the conversations are stimulating. And not only that, you bring a value to each other when you match frequency, where it's like you're benefiting my life and making me better as we speak. And I am also doing the same. And it's this equal exchange of goods. And it just feels like a friendship that, you know, it's cool, because I do feel like we're friends, right? Like good friends. Like we connect on a deeper level immediately. And you do that when you're on that frequency. You start to connect with people deeper and get to know them way faster. And there's no like, you know, what's the weather like conversations. It's like, what sets your soul on fire and how did you get to feel that? And these conversations are way better anyway.
Yeah. Totally.
And we had that in those sessions. I did feel that, but I felt that even when I saw the podcast with Jen, that little clip that you posted, which then caused the frequency exchange, right?
Thank you to our sponsors over at Bucked Up. I love this company. I love their products, their apparel, and their supplements. Recently, they dropped the mother of all pre-workouts, Mother Bucker. This is not for the faint of heart. This will make you want to claw your face off. So don't get stuck in traffic when you're headed to the gym. I love these guys. I love this company, and I love their products. They are clearly the best tasting pre-workout on the entire market, and they're number one for a reason. Bucked Up is my favorite workout brand, hands down. And they also have my favorite apparel for working out and just for daily life. It's Lululemon-like quality, but for a fraction of the price that's affordable. So head over to their site, buckedup.com, where you can check it out. And for 20% off their entire site, use the code TylerHall20.
Where was I going to go with that? Just give me a moment to think through this.
Going deep.
Oh yeah, I have to ask you this. Is my tattoo playlist the best tattoo playlist you've ever heard?
Yes, actually it is. I mean, besides my bad bitch playlist, it is like up there.
It's a vibe for sure.
It is actually a vibe. It is. And I think it obviously is part of the container, right? Like we're creating the energies playing. You're grounded because you're feeling what this tattoo means to you. I'm in my element of like purpose and creation. And it's just the whole, and then the music
feeling.
plays and then Trevor Hall's on.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is awesome.
I want to talk a little bit about actual tattooing.
Yeah.
Like for those who, may be interested in getting into it, there's probably a lot of people who have contemplated it, but it seems scary because the idea of putting a needle on somebody's body that's going to be permanent forever that's got to be intimidating when you're first getting started, right? So what encouragement, would you share for people who are thinking about getting into tattooing?
What encouragement would I share? I think that I would just say stay open. There's 100 ways across the room. I like this example. Like you can get from this side of the room to that side of the room 100 different ways. Like you could, well, more than 100. You can skip, you can somersault, you can roll. I think the thing that's important when you're going into anything is that you do what feels right for you. There's a lot of different avenues into getting into the body art world. And there's apprenticeships and there's courses and there's hell, you can fly to Brazil and learn with artists there. Obviously there's no one way. And in an industry that's unregulated, it's important to just find what you feel called to do. I have watched my students who have learned from my online courses thrive, and I end up learning a lot from them. Mm-hmm. I've watched my students that take courses from me in person. They're more hands-on, but some people are more visual. I personally have learned a lot of techniques in my industry, like eyeliner, lips, through visual, like I've done online trainings. And a cool part about me coming into the tattoo industry that I'm grateful for, so grateful for, is that I had the blessing of coming from an industry of permanent makeup where we already had this structure of, okay, I'm inspired by your work. I'm going to pay you to teach me for 3 days your technique, give me your curriculum, and I'm going to take it, apply it into my work, practice it, and then, oh wait, this person inspires me. She does shadow days. I'm going to go learn from her. Oh, I love that technique. I'm going to learn from him and do a shadow day with him. And you have this flexibility of like, you're in charge of your education and no one's holding you back. And there's no hoarding of information. There's no gatekeeping. It's like I was able to just go and feel inspired and find who I needed to teach me, where I think there's a lot of like, in a lot of industries, not just in tattooing, but in tattooing, there is a mentality or a culture around you have to do it a certain way. You have to apprentice, you have to be the shop bitch for 6 months, or you have to, do it this way or that way. And there's just no rules. Like, don't set any rules up. Like, just find what works for you. Break the rules. There's no rules. They're all fake in the end. So if you feel aligned with taking an apprenticeship or doing that, do it. If you feel aligned with flying to Israel to learn from an artist there, do it. If you feel aligned to take my course, do it. If you feel like you could learn it visually because you're a visual learner, find a course that feels right for you and dive all in. But I would just say that it is such a really cool industry. It's actually growing so fast. And I think fine line tattooing is like everything. I mean, it's only been challenged. Like the idea that we can use the needles that we're using, that the technique heals and stays, is all like actually only been within the last 6 to 7 years, 8 years. And so the details we're able to get in these tattoos, the letters we can get in I do poems. I did a whole poem on my friend Jess and his bicep or his arm the other day. And it's like, it's in typewriter font and you can read every word. And it's the coolest thing ever. Right. So, the technique, when done correctly, is just phenomenal. It's only going to expand and get better from here.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
There's 2 quotes that I want to read as we wrap this up. And I want you to share your thoughts on these. These are quotes that you said. Okay.
Okay.
You said that those who believe in magic will find it. What did you mean by that?
That. Like, you have to believe in more than what you can see to be able to find it. Those who believe that there is more will find more.
You also said that where my purpose is the cleanest, where my heart is the warmest, where my feet are the most grounded, being this sweet boy's, referencing Knox, your son, mama, will forever be the greatest gift that God gave me in this life. What do you want to say about that?
Being a mother to Knox is the best part of my life. It truly is where I find my deepest love for myself. He looks at me with so much trust. He believes in me. And I know that I might not be the mom for everyone, but I know for sure that I was called to be Knox's mom. Like, I meant to teach him what I have. Like, the attributes I have. I know I'm not a traditional, like he makes fun of me. He'll tell people all day, like, my mom can't cook if she tried. You know, it's just, he tries to, but I can teach him the things that I do have. And I can trust that that's what I'm meant to do. And I think in the end, like, that is where I find my most purpose. Real life is being Knox's mother. It's a privilege. He's teaching me so much. And I'm just really grateful for that part of my life. But a part of that too, just if I wasn't honoring all these other parts of me, I wouldn't be teaching him exactly what I'm supposed to. And I wouldn't feel that feeling with him. So much of what I'm supposed to teach Knox is actually breaking the mold in what I was taught I was supposed to be as a mom. And I trust that.
Amen.
Amen.
Janelle, thanks for coming on the Rollercoaster podcast. This was an absolute pleasure, and I'm excited for what we're about to do in an hour with phase 3 of the
It's going to be
tattoo.
good.
So
Thanks for having me.